Hey folks, welcome back to another video. Thanks for tuning in. I am very excited to show you off my deck list that I took to Portland Regionals over the weekend that brought me all the way to day 2. Now, this is not by any means a deck list that has not been seen before. Running straight pult with the Neo Upper Energy. We saw it do very well in the Spain Championship just a few weeks ago. This is just kind of my own riff on it a little bit. I've got a Maractus in here. I cut off a Turo and a Research in favor of 2 Pokemon League headquarters, thinking that this would really help me out against Raging Bolts and Joltik boxes, which we'll talk about as we get into it. Had varying success with. But I really like this list. It's a really fast-paced way to play Dragapult right now because you're just ripping through your deck. You've got a couple of Research. You're not really worried too much about discarding things because you've got a pretty thick lines as well as a Super Rod to get anything that you need back. But what's cool about this list is the stadiums. You can play Disruption stadiums like Jamming Tower, like Pokemon League headquarters because you're not using tool cards. You have access to the Jamming Tower. And then our ace spec is the Neo Upper Energy to kind of get into an earlier than expected attacker. You can really disrupt some board states in the early game and just get swinging a little bit faster than a regular straight pult deck with Unfair Stamp. So that was my kind of thought process going into the tournament and choosing what to play. This deck is just, it's very, very simple. It's very, very consistent. And that's kind of what I tend to lean towards when it comes to these major tournaments because we're going to be playing all ding dang day. And I just want to be able to set up my board and I just want to be able to rip as many Phantom Dives as possible. It's one of the strongest attacks in the game right now. So my line of thinking was just use it as much as possible and it's going to end up winning us games, which did work out in my favor for the tournament. So let's just hop into some gameplay and I'll yap about how the tournament went and what my thoughts are for changing the deck going into the Destined Rivals format. And also talk a bit about what I am planning on bringing to NAIC. So, without much further yapping, let's hop into it. My name is Jared. I'll be your gameplay nurse today. I just want to start by going over my match history, just talk about how each of my matchups felt, and how the deck went into them. Started off against a Dragapult Dust Noir build. The first game of the day, we were both, still getting our grounds. My coffee hadn't fully kicked in yet. So we were both playing a bit slower paced than I think we would have liked. Our first game was really, really back and forth. We were both able to take some key knockouts, but I had a pretty clear line to victory, so I didn't scoop. I just kind of stuck with it. And I ended up winning our first game with about 10 minutes left into our 50-minute best of 3 timer. So we get set back up. We go into game 2. And I've realized that I'm kind of bricking. I have an opening hand that's just, it's not there. I've got like maybe one Dreepy, a Latios, a Badoo, but not much else and not much way to get kind of that setup going that would make me feel really comfortable into the matchup. So with just 10 minutes left, I figured I just needed to wait him out. And when I say that, I by no means am talking about playing slow. I'm just talking about playing through at a normal pace and realizing that if I get enough of my board established, it's probably not enough time for my opponent to take 6 prize cards in 10 minutes. So I get like my Maractus out because I'm still just struggling to get going at this point. I'm still a couple turns away from an attacker and my opponent has pretty much a full board. They have multiple Dracloaks. They're starting to get some Dusclops going. Like they just have full beans and I'm sitting there looking at a pretty pitiful board state. So I opt to go for my Maractus. I boss up a Dreepy, I think, with no energy. And I'm just hoping to stall out for a couple more turns, get a little bit closer to time being called without losing too many more prize cards. My opponent makes a pretty cool and pretty gutsy play where he popped, he did a deck search, realized that his switch card was prized, had 4 prizes left at this point, and he pops a Dusclops onto a Badoo, lets me know that he's hunting for his switch card. He has a 25% chance to grab it, and then, he pulls it. He rips the switch card off of his prizes, so he was able to get out of the Maractus lock, take a few more prizes that turn. I go for another stall play the following turn, and And again, he's able to draw the cards that he needed. I think he needed like an energy and a boss, which he hit both of them off of a couple recon directives. So he was able to close out our second game in just a few turns. It was actually kind of funny, the way that he was able to just draw everything that he needed. We were both laughing at it at the end of the game. And then, he ended up recognizing me from the channel. So we snapped a photo at the end, shook hands, all good. We took the tie to start the day. And it was, it was a fun matchup. So I was feeling pretty jazzed. Just being able to play some good Pokemon at that point. It's just like those kind of matches just like ignite the love of the game in me. Where it's just like you're playing with a good natured opponent. It's really close. It's back and forth. Anything could switch at any time. That's when Pokemon's at its best. So I started the day with a great match. So Nick, shout out to you. Wonderful opponent. Thanks for the game. Into game 2, and I get paired up against every Straight Pult's worst nightmare, a Blissey. That deck, if you don't know, is pretty much designed to eat dragapults. They just kind of take all the damage in, and then they monkey it, dory it back to you. You're never one-shotting a Blissey or even coming close to it, and it's impossible to disrupt their hands because a Blissey attack draws them back up to 6. Everything about that deck is just screaming anti-pult. But my opponent had a really rough start in the first game that I was able to, like I said, with that Neo upper energy, you can just get ripping, like within turn 3, start smashing Phantom Dives into your opponent, which I was able to do. And that just, he was never able to recover after that. So we went into game 2 with me up a game. And then game 2 was a bit more even tempoed. We both got kind of the setup that I think we would have wanted. But I was just able to pretty consistently hunt down his Monkey Dory. It's why I love running 4 boss in this list, because you can just kind of eat up whatever thing you're afraid of throughout the match. So I was just hunting monkey, monkey, monkey. He tried to go for a Roaring Moon EX play at the end. Wasn't able to get it set up in time, and I was able to get 30 damage over from my Monkey Dory, boss that up, and take my last 2 prize cards that way. So a pretty decisive victory against a Blissey deck, which was pretty fun. And then match 3, we're up against Poison Roaring Moon EX. Not too much to say about that one. Game 1 went in my favor pretty quickly. They just weren't able to kind of get a very good setup established, and they ended up scooping probably like 4 turns in. And then game 2 was a lot more back and forth, but I think just with the resilience of Straight Pult, they weren't able to get the donk. I was able to bench 2 Pokemon right off the rip, and then just Straight Pult doing Straight Pult things, just Phantom Diving, Phantom Diving, Phantom Diving, and we were able to close that game out pretty quickly. And then going into round 4, I sit across from Lucas Singh, who is wearing his bright yellow Play Pokemon shirt because he was just on stream the round before that. And Lucas is a very, very, very good player. He took second at Vancouver Regionals. He placed very highly here in Portland. Just an amazing player. And he was playing Zoroark, which is already a tough matchup for me. So he just absolutely ate me for breakfast at that point. Like it wasn't even close. Like Lucas just decimated me. But it was really cool to play against him. Super nice. He chatted with me about how his stream game went a little bit. So it was a fun game. Like I said, just playing against good players. It's so fun when people are just nice and having a good time. Next game was up against Golden Go Dragapult, which is a very tough match for this deck because I don't have things like the, Genesect and tool cards to kind of prevent Golden Go from doing Golden Go things. So it's basically as soon as I stop Itchy Pauline, they're going to come back with a pretty big knockout and be able to just kind of keep tempo from that point in the game. So I was sweating going into it. But game 1 actually ended up being really, really back and forth. I was able to get an early jamming tower, which stopped an Evo play from my opponent. So they had to take a little bit longer to get set up. And then it just kind of was a slugfest from there. We were really just kind of each playing to the top of our game, using all of our tech cards, all of our different things at one point near the end, I had, we both had I had a bear, he had a golden go. Those were our only 2 attackers left. And then I had a Maractus, and I was just countering his Genesect, just praying for a counter catcher. And at that point, he conceded the match because we had already been playing for like 30 minutes, maybe even longer at that point because of just how much of a slugfest it was. So he conceded the match, and we went into game 2, and there just wasn't enough time to finish game 2. So because I had already won game 1, the best of 3 went to me. So we got a victory against a golden go, which I was not expecting with this deck. And then after that was a match into the meta straight pull with the Arvins and the tool cards and the unfair stamp. And game 1 was pretty close. It was pretty back and forth. I feel like it could have gone either way. It went in the way of my opponent, Alex. They were able to take game 1. And then game 2, I didn't get set up. And there was a point where I had a Badoo and a Dreepy and a Brock Scouting at the start. And I had nothing else in my hand. Like if I had used my Brock Scouting to get like 2 more Dreepies, I think Fez was even prized in this match. So I figured if I used Brock Scouting to get 2 more Dreepies, I'm just going to be top decking until something happens. Because even if they knocked Badoo, like I wouldn't be able to Fez for more cards or anything. It was just like no hope in sight. So I was like, I have to get some draw support online. So I used my Brock Scoutings to get a Dracloak instead. Got that evolved on my bench. But then the turn after that, they were able to get a fully charged Dragapult and a boss. And then just switch Dracloak and Badoo. And that's the game. So that one was a loss, but it was a fun one. And then, so what am I? 4-2-1, 3-2-1 at this point, going into round 7. So I'm at 3-2-1. I have to win out the day to make it to day 2. So I kind of just written day 2 off at this point. I was just like, you know what? I'll get to sleep in tomorrow. I'll get to be at home with my partner and just have a nice day. We'll be chilling, like not a big deal. So I was just playing for fun at that point. I wasn't really expecting much. So we go into round 7, and it is a straight mirror match. Maybe a couple cards different, but also a Pult player running the double Neo upper. So that was pretty cool to see right off the bat. And we had agreed that because at this point, neither one of us wants to tie, because a tie means that neither one of us is making day 2. So we had pre-discussed a gentleman's agreement going into our best of 3, since we wanted at least one of us to win and move on with a chance of getting into day 2, which, you know, was a very cool opponent. We talked it through beforehand, had everything pretty much agreed on and established. I'm not like pushing for or against gentlemen's agreements, but if they make sense for you and your opponent and you're getting good vibes, you know, it's not a bad thing to kind of talk about. So we had that going in, and I'm glad that we did, because it was just super, super close. We were both playing like super fast because, like I said, neither one of us wanted to tie. So we both had a really impressive pace of play. Shout out to Leo again, because you were just so cool about that. So we had a great pace of play. Game 1 went quickly in his favor. So I lost game 1. Game 2 I took. Just like I said, the whole match was just back and forth. Really, any of these 3 games could have gone in any direction. And then we go into game 3 with about, I think, 10 minutes left. And we go into time with just a very similar board state. We both had Dragapults ready to go. We both had a Monkey Dory on the bench. The only difference was that my Monkey Dory had a Luminous Energy and his didn't. Otherwise, our boards were basically identical. And that Monkey Dory with Luminous ended up being kind of the difference maker for me. I was able to take more key knockouts by monkeying damage back over onto his board under my control. And that is really kind of the only difference that was able to close me out game 3. Based on our gentlemen's, we kind of agreed that I would take the victory just after that. So that was probably my favorite matchup of the day for sure, playing against Leo, playing in that mirror match, just because it was like, it literally felt like fighting like Shadow Link, you know, in like Ocarina of Time, where it was just so like we both had the same game plan, the same mindset, same energy, just going into it. Like it was just really, really cool. If I could like handpick a testing partner going forward, he would be one of my top choices, because that was just a really neat match. And then into round 8, I need another win. I'm 4-2-1. Need one more win to make day 2. And we get paired into a Gardevoir player. A lot of Guardy running around at the tournament, but you know, for me it was a Pult day, and just lots of Pult matchups. So going into Guardy, I felt pretty good. Like I said, my deck is kind of designed a bit with Guardy in mind, because it lets me get an attacker out quickly, which is good into Gardevoir, and we have the jamming tower to kind of fix the math that a lot of Guardy players rely on. At least going into this tournament they were. So I felt pretty confident going in. But at this point, it is round 8. It is getting close to 6 o'clock at night, and we have been playing since 8:30 in the morning. So mental sharpness is at an all-time low. Both myself and my opponent were feeling that. I could definitely tell. He made a pretty big misplay about midway through game 1, where he pushed his Gardevoir into the active slot with intention to attack, and then realized that he only had 2 psychic energy in the discard pile, and wasn't able to make a swing with Gardevoir work that turn. So he had to just pass with Guardy stuck in the active. So I was able to get 200 damage onto the Gardevoir, which I was then able to punish pretty effectively in the following turn. So the game kind of just spiraled from there. I was able to take a game 1. It's still a longer match. It was a lot of back and forth, kind of before and even after that. Because I think, you know, with Gardevoir, there's always a line, even if you goof like that. There's always a line. So he was playing for whatever line he saw, and just couldn't make it happen. So I was able to close out game 1. And then game 2, I want to say we still had a pretty decent chunk of time left on the clock, like at least 20 minutes for game 2. So I was playing like a regular game. Like there was no stall tactics. I was thinking like, okay, this is gonna, like, we're gonna have enough time to take all 6 prizes. One of us is, and I don't want to tie at this point. So I was going through my deck quickly. I was getting my attacker set up, really just pushing to take 6 prize cards so that I could just close out this series and make it into day 2. But we still ended up going to time and bonus turns. And at the end of our bonus turns of this round, no one was able to take all 6 of their prize cards. You know, it's Gardevoir. So they're doing like a lot of Screamtail stuff, taking stuff with 1 prize attackers. I was hunting Monkey Dories most of the game, because there just wasn't a point in punching into Gardevoir anymore. So it was just a slow match. Neither one of us was able to close it out. And that means that the victory went to me, because I had won game 1. So we did it. We hit day 2, 5-2-1 going in. So was pretty excited, pretty actually dumbstruck, because I was, like I said, I had written day 2 off at that point. I was not expecting to win out the day, just because of how tired I was and how just kind of, I wasn't feeling competitive. I just was kind of like, I don't know, I lost the edge about halfway through the day, and I never got it back. But that doesn't mean that I didn't play hard, but it just like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling like that, just like drive anymore. So I had written day 2 off. I wasn't expecting to make it. So it was a big surprise. I was pretty excited about it. Met up with my friends, met a couple fans on the way out of the venue. So that was really cool. Shout out to everyone that came up and said hi to me during the event. It was awesome to meet you guys, to take some selfies. To play against some of you was really cool. So I'll be at NAIC. If you run into me or if you see me there, like, don't hesitate to, unless I'm like scrambling to get to my table, don't hesitate to stop and say hey, and, you know, introduce yourself, ask for whatever. Love to meet you guys. That was easily one of the better parts of the tournament for me. So yeah, just thank you to everyone that stopped and said hey. Went back to where I was staying for the night. Didn't even stop to get dinner. I think we drove into an Albertsons, and I just grabbed some like cheese and crackers because we didn't get back to where we were staying until like closer to 8:30. And we are gonna have to wake up again at 6:30 to make it back to the venue in time the following day. So I just kind of ate, watched some Azul. I watched the Lucas match that was streamed before the game that I ended up playing him. And yeah, tried to go to bed and then just did not sleep at all that night. I think I got like 3 hours total. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I know, it's a lot of anxiety. I woke up at like 2 in the morning from a dream where like I had taken my cards out of my deck box for the first match, and all the sleeves were ruined and I couldn't find my replacement sleeves. So I was just having a lot of anxiety, having a tough time sleeping that night. So when I woke up for day 2 the following morning, just wasn't feeling my best. So just kind of gave myself some grace, told myself, hey, if we get one victory today, that will count that. We'll take that. So we go into our first match against a Raging Bolt player. He was really, really cool. It was a great time. Match 1 was really, really close. It was super back and forth. Could have gone either way. I needed to stall out for just a few turns. No, I didn't even need to stall out. I just needed a counter catcher. I had enough damage on the board where I could have won as soon as I had a gust, because I needed to take 3 prize cards. I had a Fan Rotom on his bench with 30 damage on it. We had already gone through the regular Raging Bolt nonsense of like play an area 0, load up your bench, play a jamming tower, get rid of all your liabilities. Like that ship had already sailed, so I'm not worried about that. There's a Fan Rotom with 30 damage on it. There's a bunch of 2 prizers that all are within 200 HP, easy knockout range. I've been Ionoing him down to like 1 or 2 cards for the last few turns. He hasn't been able to pull together. Oh, and I've been Itchy Palling him. I've just been Iono, Itchy Palling, Iono, Itchy Palling, just waiting for my Exodia to come online so that I could take my last 3 prize cards in 1 Phantom Dive and close out the game. So I just have been itching, just kind of using recon directives, digging through with Ionos, trying to find a counter catcher. That's all I needed to close out the game was a counter catcher. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna itchy him 1 more turn. I'm gonna see 3 more cards next turn. But in that time, he had been able to get a Hoot Hoot benched. And then the following turn, he drew into a Noctowl. And still, I was like, this is okay, because he's not going to be able to close out the game under Itchy Pollen. He's not going to be able to get enough energy in play. Even with Noctowl, like, we're chilling. And then out comes Turo. I'm like, Turo in a Raging Bolt deck? What? I was so flabbergasted because I was not expecting a Turo in a ding dang Raging Bolt deck. I asked him about it after the match, not in the middle of the round because that's rude. After the round, it's like, am I crazy or is Turo not in Raging Bolt? And he's like, oh yeah, no, but because Maractus won in Utrecht, I decided to include Turo in my deck. So, a butterfly flaps its wings over on the other side of the world, and then I lose a Raging Bolt match because someone switched out a card for Turo at the last minute. So I lost game 1 because of Turo, and then game 2, I had a slow setup, and he was able to just snipe with Baby Bolt, and it was just picked me apart. There was nothing that could be done about that. So we go into round 10. Pair against an Eevee box, and it was a good first game. It was pretty back and forth. They were using Flareon for most of the game as just kind of their primary attacker, but I was able to stall out things while I kind of got my board set up, and then just gust around with enough Phantom Dives so I was able to take all 6 prize cards pretty decisively. So we go into game 2, and he's got we go into game 2, and we've got like 25 minutes left. Let's set the pace first. So we're going into game 2 with 25 minutes. plenty of time to play out a game 2, even to get into a game 3. So I'm expecting more or less the same, where he's just going to be going in with Flareon, trying to just like take some big damage, and just close out the game quickly so we can go into game 3. But then he evolves his Eevee into Sylveon. I'm like, okay. Okay. So we're doing that. And then Angelite. And all of my Dracloaks go back into the deck. I Buddy Poffin, get my Dreepy set back up. You know, he takes a knockout on my Badoo. And then the next turn, Angelites everything back into the deck. I Brock Scouting. I get my Dreepy set back up. He takes another... I'd use like a counter catcher onto a Noctowl to slow him down a little bit. Angelites everything back into the deck. I Brock Scouting again. Get my Dreepy set back up. He takes another knockout. Angelites everything back into the deck. I Buddy Poffin. Get my Dreepy set back up. Counter catcher up something else to slow him down a little bit. And then Angelite again. I'd use double Nest Ball. I get my Dreepy set back up. And we're just going through this. I like get a Maractus into play. I counter catcher. I think it was just another Noctowl. And I'm just using corner. He's able to get his switch out. Switches back into Sylveon. Angelites again. I Buddy Poffin. Get my Dreepy set back up. And we just do this dance for 25 minutes. And he's only taken 3 prize cards in 25 minutes because it's just Angelite. So then we go to time. And neither one of us is able to take all 6. So the victory goes to me. And then I play against Joltik Box into the next round against probably one of my cooler opponents of the tournament. Dude had some rockin' art sleeves, Joltik Box deck. He was just like, I don't know, he was a really chill dude. He was like talking through all of his turns out loud. Very intelligent player. It was a fun matchup. He won both games pretty decisively. He's just able to get Joltik Box doing Joltik Box things and just doing what it was designed to do, which is be a good matchup into Dragapult. And I just couldn't keep up pace. Dude was running 3 Gravity Mountains. So my Pokemon League headquarters were just getting bumped and bumped and bumped and bumped. And there was nothing, no slowing him down, no spitting in his Cheerios. He was able to just very decisively close things out. So well done to you. That was another fun match. And honestly, a victory that you really deserved. So going into the final round of the day, you know, we're already 1-2 at this point. So I'm 1-2. Hope a top cut's completely gone. Just playing this last round for fun. Go against a player who is first time making day 2. I was very nervous, so we just kind of, you know, just had a chill game. Wasn't really like going crazy with it against a Dusk Noir Dragapult deck. In game 1, I saw a line and I really just wanted to see if I could like establish the line that I saw. It was like a very, very slim chance where I saw like a Maractus play into a like double knockout. So I just really wanted to like, my goal wasn't to win the match. My goal was to see if I could make the line work. And it didn't end up working out. He was able to get around it. So he took game 1, didn't have enough time to finish out a game 2. So he got the final round, which good stuff. Honestly, it was so it was a really fun tournament. So I ended up making 256 overall, which I do need some help with this one actually. So standings were announced; they were dropped off at the Hive, the TCG Hive, and in their list, it had me at 257. Here's a picture that I took showing me at 257. The booster pack prizing cutoff was 256. So I'm like super bummed. I'm thinking, okay, I whiffed prizing by 1 placement. That sucks. Like, oh well, at least now I don't have to I don't have to stick around for prizing. Like I can just leave. I'm starving. Like it's like 2 o'clock at this point. I haven't eaten yet. Just super hungry. So I find my partner, tell them the bad news, and then I'm like, let's go get some fish and chips. Like, I'm hungry. Cut to the following day, Memorial Day. I check the actual standings that come out, and it has me listed as 256 instead of 257. So I should have gotten my 18 booster packs, and I'm not sure. Think I'm going to put in a support ticket. I'm not sure how far it'll go. But I don't know. Do they send out prizing to people that didn't pick them up, or is it just like if you missed it, you missed it, and then you're goofed after that? So yeah, currently ongoing with that. I'll let you know how it resolves. But if you've had anything similar, or if you have any advice that you can offer, like, I'm open for it in the comments. Please let me know. But let's get into how I felt about the deck after playing it for 2 days straight in the Portland Regionals. What I am feeling worked, what I'm feeling did not work so well, and my thoughts going into NAIC and all of that. So first off, the Pokemon League headquarters. I don't know. It didn't really feel that impactful. I was able to play it against both Raging Bolt and Joltik Box, but for each match, it was just my opponent going, oh, okay, I'll attach an additional energy and then attack anyways. It didn't really cause that big of a headache for either of them. Didn't slow them down at all. Didn't make them run out of resources. And then it was also just kind of a pain for me to play around because it's going to stop my Badoo from being able to attack for free. And it's also going to be able to mess with my Blood Moon or Saluna and their attack cost as well. So, oh, also Maractus. Maractus now needs 2 energy if I have a League headquarters in play. So, 100%, I'm cutting that out of the deck. I did not think it was providing me as much value as I had hoped for. And I would have much rather rehab that second Turo and that third Professor's Research. Those would have been much more impactful cards going into the tournament. So, would definitely go back to no Pokemon League headquarters. Yes, Turo, yes, Research. Although, if I were to run this deck again in NAIC, I could see having at least one Team Rocket's Watchtower. So we might do like 2 Turo, 2 Research, 1 Team Rocket's Watchtower instead. But as far as my thoughts for NAIC go, I have a lot more testing to do in the next 2 weeks. But as of right now, I don't expect to be running this version of the deck to NAIC. I think the window for it has kind of passed. The Jamming Tower, it's good into the mirror, or it's good into the meta straight pull that runs all of the tool cards, and it was good into Old Guardy. But what we saw with Henry and I am blanking on Davidson, their lists that won Portland, and that I think we will now see a lot more of going into NAIC and the future of Gardevoir. I just don't see it being that helpful at all, especially if Guardy continues to run Rabska. I don't know if they will with Shaman coming out. I could really see them going either way, cutting the Rabska for a Shaman. They do very different things. So at the same time, I could see that not happening. So I think the window for this deck has passed, more or less. It's still very good. It still does Pult things, but just Pult things aren't feeling like they're cutting it as much these days. So right now I am kind of eyeballing 2 different decks, and let's switch over to one of them. So the first deck that I'm really strongly looking at was played by Jackson Ford. He took 15th, just barely missed top cut with this one. Dragapult Charizard. I've enjoyed this deck for a long time, and I think with the rise of Gardevoir, it has just been getting better and better positioned. I really like running it with the unfair stamp. I think that's one of the stronger cards in the meta right now and is a great inclusion. Overall, I really like Jackson's list. So I'll be playing around with this one. My cat's attacking me. Hello. So I'm going to be testing this list pretty heavily, as well as a couple of variations of it to kind of see where we land. NAIC, obviously, I will be including like a shaman, probably not a watchtower. But other than that, it'll pretty much be more or less this. I think it's a very strong list. I think it'll do well at NAIC. Could even see throwing in like a cheeky Dust Noir line into it. I don't know. But this is kind of one of the front runners as far as what I'm thinking going into NAIC. And then also been looking sideways at Marnie's Grimsnarl. I think that it's it's super fun. Like I've just been playing the crap out of it lately. So it's just a very fun list to play. I think it's pretty strongly positioned in the meta right now. My only concern is just not getting enough time in with it to feel super, super comfortable going into NAIC. So that'll probably be the difference makers. How much of it can I actually play in the next 2 weeks at a like really decently competitive level? So it's going to depend on how available my friends are. But I think that it's going to be one of the top choices for NAIC. I think it's going to do very well there. This is not like the final list that I have in mind. This is just the list that Azul posted the other week. But I think something like this with the inclusion of a shaman, a couple more techie cards, I think could definitely find their way in here, like the Tatsugiri, because you are so very reliant on Iono and Research and Arvin, that the Tatsugiri just kind of makes sense to make sure that you're never whiffing on supporters, because if this deck bricks, it bricks very, very hard, because you don't have any kind of natural draw support on the bench. It is entirely supporter reliant. So having that extra out to supporters feels quite good, as well as like Poke Gear, that kind of stuff, I think is definitely a necessary inclusion for these decks, just to add some consistency. Takes away some power, of course, but I think that those elements would just make me feel better about the deck overall. So I'll be testing out a lot of different builds of that to kind of see where we end up with for NAIC. But those are my thoughts. That's how Portland went for me. Was, like I said, an amazing tournament. I had a lot of fun playing there. Didn't record any footage. Just wanted to focus on playing, having a good time, being in the moment. So I apologize for the lack of vlog content coming out of the regional. Still undecided on whether or not I'm going to vlog anything for NAIC. We'll see. We'll see how I feel, how motivated I am. And then also would like to apologize for the slower release schedule in the next couple of weeks. I decided leading up to Portland, I was going to cut down to just one video a week for a little bit, at least until NAIC is over, just to kind of give myself an opportunity to play more, test more, do more things. And then, I'm still working full time. I have a family. So just keep on top of my other obligations as well. So I appreciate your patience. Thanks for sticking with me through this slightly slower release schedule. And again, thank you to everyone that said hi during the tournament. Come say hi to me at NAIC. Can't wait for the event. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll catch you guys in the next one.